My mom replaced me with her new husband's kids, so I walked out, and their perfect family collapsed Reddit stories. For 3 years I was the invisible son, while she played Stepford Wife for Richard and his kids. When I turned 18, I packed my bags and left. Within weeks, their marriage imploded, Richard vanished, and the woman who erased me was erased right back. Hi. I'm Jake, 18. And on the morning of my 18th birthday, the day I was supposed to finally feel like an adult, maybe get a pat on the back, maybe even a warm "We're proud of you," I woke up to a text from my mom that said exactly this. "Don't stay out late. Sophia has her dance competition in the morning and we need everyone focused." Everyone. Focused. On her daughter. Again. And that's when I realized something with brutal clarity. I wasn't part of this family. Hadn't been for a long, long time. But let's rewind 3 years, back to when all this started, back when I still thought I had a mom who cared. Everything fell apart when I was 15, 3 years after my dad died and my world was already cracked down the middle. For 7 years, it had been just me and mom. Team of 2. Unevenly matched in life experience but bonded by grief, love, and Saturday morning pancakes. And then came Richard. The man with perfect teeth, a perfect job, perfect money, and 2 perfect kids he only parented every other weekend. The kind of guy who calls people champ, unironically, and has a handshake so firm it feels like he's trying to intimidate you into respecting him. Mom met him at some work conference. She came home glowing like she'd discovered a new religion. Suddenly she loved wine tastings, expensive clothes, and phrases like quality of life and upward mobility. Funny how I never saw any of that. Mobility. Lift me upward. Within a year, she transformed into a woman who laughed too loudly at Richard's jokes, pretended to understand golf, and said things like, "You'll adjust, Jake. Change is good." Yeah. Change is great when you choose it. Not when it steamrolls your life and leaves you standing on the curb wondering when you stopped matching. By the time the wedding happened, I knew exactly what my role was. Stand quietly next to the cake. Don't ruin photos. Smile politely around Richard's rich friends while they pretend you're just a furniture piece someone accidentally dressed in a suit. I should have seen the rest coming. Moving into Richard's house was when the erasure got real, fast. Sophia, 13, got a room next to the master bedroom. Brandon, 10, got the room across the hall. And me? I got the spare room at the far end of the house, the one with beige walls and furniture that still had tags on it, like they'd set it up 20 minutes before I arrived. "Isn't it nice?" Mom said. "It feels like a fresh start." Fresh start for who? Not me. My life had been wiped clean like a whiteboard nobody asked to erase. At first, I tried to make it work. I really did. But everything in that house revolved around Richard's kids. What they wanted for dinner. What they wanted to watch. What temperature the pool had to be. What brand of pencil Sophia preferred for her elite private school. Meanwhile, I was still at my public school. Still using my old 3-year-old laptop. Still being told, "We'll get to it," about everything from my room to my extracurriculars to my entire existence. We weren't a blended family. We were a family plus one unwanted add-on who was supposed to take up minimal emotional real estate. The erasure was slow but constant. One day Mom forgot to pick me up from school. Next week she forgot a parent-teacher meeting. Then she forgot my championship game. Then my 16th birthday became an afterthought squeezed between Sophia's dance rehearsal and Brandon's soccer practice. And then came the moment, the one that changed everything. Richard and Mom sat us all down one Sunday afternoon, smiles plastered on their faces, and announced loudly, joyfully, triumphantly, "We're adopting Sophia and Brandon." One big official family. Everyone cheered. Sophia cried. Brandon shouted something about getting 2 Christmases now. Richard beamed like he just won Father of the Year. And me? I just sat there. Silent. Invisible. Then I asked, "What about me?" Richard didn't even blink. Oh, well, you already have a father, biologically. So this doesn't apply to you. Mom nodded along like she was agreeing with a weather report. That's when it clicked. I wasn't being left out accidentally. I was being erased intentionally. So the day I turned 18, I made a decision. No yelling. No dramatic confrontation. No angry speeches. I just packed my things, took my inheritance Dad left me, walked out of that house, and erased myself right back. I thought they'd ignore it. I thought they'd be relieved. But instead, they detonated. The panic began exactly 37 minutes after I walked out of Richard's perfect, beige-scented mansion. I was sitting on the floor of my new apartment, a tiny one-bedroom with creaky floors, mismatched cabinets, and a view of a parking lot filled entirely with 2008 Hondas, and I'd never felt freer in my life. No one yelling my name. No one shoving chores at me. No one telling me to be flexible, for the sake of Richard's kids. Just silence. A beautiful, echoing silence I didn't know how much I missed until that moment. Then my phone buzzed. Mom. I ignored it. 30 seconds later. Buzz. Richard. Ignored. Then. Buzz 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 buzz. 32 missed calls in under 10 minutes. I finally turned the phone over and unlocked it. First voicemail was Mom crying. Jake, honey, where are you? Please call me. We need to talk. Second voicemail? Richard. You need to come home immediately. This isn't how adults behave. Third voicemail was Mom again. You can't just leave, Jake. We didn't raise you to be selfish. Oh, but you raised me to be invisible. Totally different skill set. The texts were even more unhinged. Mom. Where did you go? You're scaring me. Richard's furious. It's irresponsible to run away on your 18th birthday. Me. I didn't run away. I moved out. Mom. Without talking to us? Me. There's nothing to talk about. 15 minutes later, another text. We're coming to get you. And that's when I realized something chilling. They didn't expect me to leave. They expected me to stay in that house forever as the emotional babysitter, the built-in excuse, the spare wheel they could roll out whenever the real kids needed someone to blame. They never thought I had the courage to walk. So, I blocked them both. Boom. Silence again. Sweet, perfect silence. But the peace lasted about 2 hours. Around 9 p.m., someone started pounding on my apartment door. Bang, bang, bang. Jake! Open this door right now! Richard. His voice was unmistakable, booming, entitled, the kind of voice that assumed walls parted when he talked. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Another round of hammering. Bang, bang, bang. Mom's voice now. Strained. Desperate. Jake, sweetheart, please! We just want to talk. Yeah. Talk. Interesting word choice from people who hadn't had a single conversation with me in 3 years unless it was about Sophia's glitter dance costume or Brandon's soccer banquet. Then Richard tried the handle. That was the moment I quietly slid my deadbolt into place, like I was sealing a vault. I know you're in there, he yelled. Be a man and face us. Right. Because real men apparently open doors for the people who erased them. I didn't respond. Eventually a neighbor shouted. Hey! Take your drama somewhere else! Thank God for thin apartment walls. Richard grumbled something about ungrateful brats and bad upbringings. Then I heard them stomp away. At midnight, Mom sent her final message from an unknown number she must have borrowed. Jake, please come home. We can talk about adopting you too. And I swear, I laughed so hard I actually had to sit down. They thought this was about the adoption. They thought I wanted in. They had no idea I'd been planning to leave since I was 16. They had no idea this wasn't sudden. This wasn't impulsive. This was 3 years in the making. 3 years of being pushed out of every picture. 3 years of being told to sacrifice. 3 years of being treated like an extra. They erased me slowly. Now I was erasing myself cleanly. By morning, I had 3 voicemails from guess who? Sophia. Oh yes, Richard's princess had entered the chat. Hey Jake? Dad and your mom are freaking out. This is kinda ruining the vibe. Can you just come back so they stop yelling? Ruining the vibe. Ruining the vibe. I almost framed that message. And the last voicemail? Honestly? Iconic. Brandon, 12. Dude, can you come home because mom and dad canceled my soccer practice to look for you and now it sucks. Thanks. This was my farewell chorus. A family not because they loved me, but because my absence inconvenienced them. That's when I leaned back against the wall, closed my eyes, and realized something huge. I didn't just escape. I won. The day it all exploded publicly started like any normal Saturday. I was in my apartment, eating cereal out of a mug because I hadn't bought bowls yet, scrolling job postings, enjoying the kind of peace you don't realize is rare until you've lived in a house where every conversation starts with, "We need to talk about Sophia's schedule." Then, knock, 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 knock. Rapid. Panicked. The knock of someone who believes they are entitled to be let in. I froze. Then a voice. "Jake, buddy! Open up! It's Uncle Todd." Uncle Todd, not really my uncle, but Mom's cousin who treated every family gathering like a TED Talk about his crypto investments. Which meant Mom had sent reinforcements. I cracked the door, but kept the chain on. Todd looked relieved. "Thank God. Your mother is having a meltdown. She says you disappeared." "I moved," I said. "Not the same thing." "She said you're shutting her out?" "I am," I said. Intentionally. Todd blinked. People never know what to do with honesty that sharp. "Well, your mom's beside herself. She's worried sick. Richard is furious. Sophia's crying. She cries when Starbucks is out of caramel foam." He ignored that. "Look, kid, your mom says you've been acting distant for months. She feels like she's losing you. Just talk to her." "And say what, Todd?" "Sorry you forgot I existed while building your new family. Can I have a hug?" Todd opened his mouth, then closed it. He wasn't stupid. He'd seen how things changed after Richard arrived. He'd seen how Mom stopped attending holidays with our family, stopped visiting her own parents, stopped prioritizing anything that didn't make Richard look good. "All right," he sighed. "At least tell her where you are. She knows. She was pounding on my door last night." Todd's eyebrows shot up. "You blocked your own mother's number?" "Yes." "Jake, that's harsh. Not as harsh as erasing your kid because he doesn't fit the aesthetic of your new life." Todd stepped back. "You know what? You're right. I'm not getting involved." He pointed at me. "But this is gonna get messy before it gets better." He wasn't wrong. Because that afternoon, the real explosion happened. I was at work, my part-time job at a local office supply store, when my phone buzzed nonstop in my pocket. I ignored it. Restocking ink cartridges is a sacred duty. When I finally checked, oh boy. 15 missed calls from Mom. 6 from Richard. 3 from Uncle Greg. And 1 from my manager. Then a text from Kevin. "Bro, turn on Facebook now." I opened Facebook. And there it was. A novel-length post from Mom. "My son has run away. He is missing. Please share this post so we can find him before something terrible happens." She'd posted my full name, my age, my high school, and a 4-year-old picture of me doing homework at the kitchen table like some missing person poster. The comments? A circus. "Praying for you, Patricia. Kids today are so selfish." I'm sure he'll come home once he cools down. Maybe he fell in with the wrong crowd. Where's the real dad? He needs discipline. And then, Barry near the bottom. Uncle Greg. He didn't run away. He moved out. Patricia knows this. She also knows exactly where he is. Stop lying. The thread went nuclear. A few minutes later, my phone rang. Uncle Greg. Jake, he said, your mother is at my house screaming because I corrected her post. Did she take it down? Oh no. She doubled down. And sure enough, Mom had updated the post. My son is manipulated by toxic people. He's not capable of making decisions right now. We need help getting him home. Toxic people. A.K.A. anyone who wasn't Richard or her. And the cherry on top? Richard then posted his version. Jake has been unstable for months. If anyone sees him, please contact me immediately. Unstable. I'd made honor roll. Worked part-time. Saved money. Planned quietly for 2 years. But sure. Unstable. Then I swear this is real. Brandon commented. Does this mean we still can't go to my soccer game? Peak comedy. But the real explosion happened when Sophia chimed in. He was always jealous of us. This is so embarrassing. Jealous. Yes. I was so jealous of being treated like a houseplant. Eventually Kevin called. Dude, he said, you need to post something. People from school are sharing her posts like you died. So I did. I took a picture of myself sitting in my apartment holding a slice of pizza. Caption. I'm alive. I moved out. I'm fine. Not missing. Not unstable. Just done being erased. Carry on. The internet blew up. My posts spread faster than Mom's did. Comments started rolling in. Wait, is this Patricia's son? Damn, this sounds like the new family situation. Good for you, man. Patricia always acted weird with those stepkids. This is the plot of every movie where the mom regrets everything later. Go live your life, dude. People weren't buying their narrative anymore. Mom started messaging me from sock accounts. How dare you humiliate me publicly? Delete that right now. You're making us look terrible. And Richard? He emailed me from his work address. Take down your defamatory post or my lawyer will handle this. So I replied, okay. Have your lawyer call me at my lawyer's number. Hashtag 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 dash hashtag 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 dash hashtag 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 hashtag. Sincerely. Not your problem anymore. His lawyer never called. Mom tried one last Hail Mary. Jake, if you don't come home, I won't be able to protect you from what's coming. Protect me. The woman who hadn't attended a single parent-teacher conference in 3 years. Protect me. From what? Her losing the narrative? The world watched it unfold and saw the truth. They weren't panicking because they missed me. They were panicking because I stopped playing my assigned role. Because the extra walked off the set of their perfect little blended sitcom. And for the first time, everyone could see it. Richard escalated. Of course he did. If there's one thing men like him can't stand, it's losing control of a narrative, especially to an 18-year-old who dared to walk off the stage of their perfect little family pageant. It started 3 days after the Facebook meltdown. I was at work, minding my own business, scanning packs of printer paper for a woman who absolutely did not need 42 reams, but insisted she did because, you never know, when my manager walked up with that look. Concern plus confusion plus corporate fear. Jake, there are 2 police officers here asking for you. My heart slammed against my ribs. Not because I'd done anything wrong, but because I knew exactly where this was going. Richard. He'd activated the nuclear option. I stepped out to the customer service area, and yep, 2 officers stood there. Polite. Calm. Embarrassed even. Jake Morgan? One asked. Yep. That's me. They exchanged a look, the kind officers give when they know the call they're on is absolute stupidity. We received a report that you're a missing minor. I blinked. I'm 18. Another officer sighed. Yeah, we figured. Your mother was adamant. Look, I said. I'm not missing. I moved out. I'm working. I'm fine. She's just upset I left. The officers nodded like they'd been waiting for me to say that. Do you mind presenting ID so we can close the case? I took out my wallet. One officer looked at my license and gave a tired little chuckle. Happy late birthday, kid. Sorry about all this. I shrugged. Not your fault. Then the older officer leaned in and said quietly, Between you and me, you might want to file something preventing them from reporting you missing again. This happens sometimes when parents don't handle boundaries well. Boundaries. A polite word for. Your mother married a narcissistic dictator and lost her grip on reality. They let me get back to work. My manager looked relieved I wasn't being arrested for armed robbery or printer toner fraud. But Richard? Richard wasn't done. That evening I got an email. Not from him. From his lawyer. Subject line: Immediate action required. The email claimed I was a dependent. I had been living in their home. Leaving suddenly caused them emotional distress. I had stolen furniture and electronics that belonged to the household. I was posting defamatory statements online. If I didn't return home immediately, they would pursue legal action. I read the email twice. Then a third time. Then I laughed so hard I almost spilled my celebratory ramen. I called Kevin. Dude, listen to this, I said, reading it out loud. He howled. My guy thinks you're an emotional support hamster he purchased. When I calmed down, I forwarded the email to the person who actually mattered. My lawyer. See, Dad had left more than just money in that trust. He left me the contact info for his attorney, someone he trusted, someone he'd worked with for years, someone who knew our family inside and out. I'd reached out the day after I moved. We had a consultation. We set things up. My lawyer replied within an hour. His email was a thing of beauty. Calm. Professional. Lethal. He CC'd Richard's lawyer and wrote, To whom it may concern. My client, Mr. Jacob Morgan, is a legal adult and under no obligation to reside with his mother or her spouse. Please note the following facts. Jake is 18. He removed only personal possessions he purchased or inherited. He has not made any false public statements. Your client's attempt to file a false missing person report has been documented. Any further harassment, legal or otherwise, will result in immediate action, including a restraining order. Additionally, Jake does not consent to any further communication from Mr. Richard Bennett or Mrs. Patricia Bennett. All interactions must go through my office. Finally, I advise your clients to consider the serious consequences of filing fraudulent police reports and misrepresenting facts publicly. Kind regards. Attorney Alan Pierce. Pierce Law Group. I nearly framed that email. Apparently Richard nearly punched a hole in a wall. Because the next attempt at control got dirty. Really dirty. That night, at 11:43 p.m., my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I answered without thinking. Big mistake. Jake Morgan! Mom's voice. Shrill. Shaking. Furious. How could you do this to us? To you? I said. I moved out. That's it. You humiliated us online. No, I said calmly. I corrected your lie. It wasn't a lie. You reported me missing. You had cops show up to my job. We were worried. You were embarrassed. I am your mother. You were my mother. Past tense. You ungrateful. She wasn't done. Richard grabbed the phone. His voice was cold enough to freeze bone. You think you're smart? Running around playing grown-up? Here's the truth, boy. Your little apartment, your little job, your little social media stunt? It won't last. You'll come crawling back when reality hits. I didn't say a single word. Just listened. Everything you are, Richard said, came from me and Patricia. And you owe us respect. That's when something inside me snapped all the way clean. Richard, I said quietly, you built nothing for me. You gave me nothing. You never tried. You ignored me, replaced me, erased me, and now you're shocked I left? You don't get to demand anything from me. You'll regret this. No. But you will. Then I hung up. Blocked the number. Sat there in the dark for a long moment. Not sad. Not angry. Just done. The next morning, I woke up to a voicemail from Uncle Greg. Kid, call me. Something happened. I called immediately. Greg sounded exhausted. Your mother showed up at Richard's company today. Caused a scene. Accused him of ruining everything. Screamed at him in the lobby. And Richard told her he wants a separation. Oh, I said softly. Wow. That's not all. Greg continued. Richard told her point blank he only wanted a fresh start. Not a kid from her past dragging along baggage. I exhaled slowly. There it was. The truth Mom refused to see. He said. Greg added quietly. Jake was never part of the plan. A chill ran down my spine. I knew it. I'd always known it. But hearing it out loud, that was something else. What's Mom doing? I asked. She's begging him not to leave. Of course she was. Richard wasn't just her husband. He was her status ladder. Her ticket into the world she thought she deserved. Her proof she'd upgraded. And without him, she had to face the reality she'd run from. She gave up her son for a family that never actually wanted her. Greg sighed. She's losing everything, Jake. I took a breath. Yeah, I said. I know. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't feel guilty. Not even a little. Because losing me wasn't the beginning of her downfall. It was the consequence of everything she'd chosen. Mom's life didn't just fall apart. It collapsed, violently, spectacularly, like a building whose support beams had been quietly rotting for years, and then one day someone finally kicked the last one out. And somehow, to her absolute shock, that someone was me simply leaving. Funny how the truth works. It doesn't explode, it erodes. And her truth eroded so fast it might as well have been a landslide. Richard moved out 2 days after the lobby meltdown. He didn't do it gently either. He didn't sit Mom down. He didn't discuss, negotiate, or sugarcoat. He just didn't come home. No text. No call. Nothing. Mom found out when she tried calling him and got. This number is no longer accepting calls from you. Blocked. Instantly. Brutally. She showed up at his office the next morning and security wouldn't even let her inside. Richard had already emailed them. Under no circumstances is Patricia Bennett allowed on company property. She tried calling his secretary. Blocked. She tried emailing him. Auto-response. She tried texting Sophia and Brandon. Both left her on read. Her new family erased her faster than she erased me. The irony was so thick you could butter toast with it. Uncle Greg kept me updated, mostly because he knew I wouldn't cave to emotional manipulation. Patricia's been calling me nonstop, he said during one update. Crying. Begging. She thinks Richard's just upset and will come back. He won't, I said. He already filed paperwork. Greg continued. He's serious. Greg, he was always serious. Mom was the only one playing pretend. 3 days after Richard disappeared, Mom showed up at my apartment building. Not my door, because she didn't know the unit number, but the lobby. She parked herself on one of the ugly plastic chairs next to the elevator and waited like she was auditioning for a role in a tragic indie movie. I didn't go down. The leasing office guy texted me. Your mom is down here crying. Should we call security? Yes. But also, he didn't deserve that mess in his lobby. So I went down. Mom looked rough. Not. I've been crying. Rough. More like. I haven't slept in days, haven't eaten, haven't washed my hair, and just lost my entire personality. Rough. She jumped up when she saw me. Jake, Mom! She reached for me. I stepped back. She froze. You won't even hug me? You didn't want a son for 3 years, Mom. You don't suddenly get one now. She flinched, physically, like I'd slapped her. Jake, please, please. I'm losing everything. That's not my fault. You don't understand, she said, tears spilling. Richard, he said things. Awful things. He usually does, I said. Was this new? He said I was. I was a mistake. That he never wanted us. That he only married me because I made him look good for investors. That tracked. Richard cared more about optics than oxygen. He said adopting the kids was good for his image. But you. She pointed at me, shaking. You were a liability. I know. She stared. What do you mean, you know? I always knew. Everyone did. Except you. Mom collapsed back onto the chair like her knees gave out. You were supposed to stay with me, she whispered. I thought you'd stay. I thought, eventually, we'd fix things. Fix? I said. Mom, you didn't fix anything. You replaced me. I didn't replace you. I just. She couldn't finish the sentence. Because she knew the truth. And truth tastes bitter the first time you swallow it. In the middle of the lobby, she started spiraling, loud enough that people walking by were definitely eavesdropping. Jake, I lost the house. Richard filed for separation. He froze the accounts. He said I can't stay there unless I pay him rent. He owns the house, I said. Legally, yeah? That's how prenups work. I signed that because I trusted him. And I trusted you, I said quietly. Look how that turned out. She covered her face with both hands. I have nowhere to go. You have Uncle Greg. He won't let me stay long. That's between you and him. She finally looked up at me, eyes glassy and red. Jake, you're really not going to let me stay with you? No. Not even for a little while? No. But I'm your mother. That's biology, I said. Family is behavior. She started sobbing again, loud and cracked and ugly. People stared. I didn't care. After a minute she said, Richard said something else. Before he left. I waited. He said? She swallowed hard. He said if it weren't for you leaving, none of this would have happened. Ah. There it was. The last card. Blame the kid. Blame the scapegoat. Blame the person who stopped enabling the fantasy. Well, I said, I guess Richard and I agree on something. Mom blinked. What? Leaving was the best decision I ever made. Her face broke completely. She whispered, barely audible. You destroyed my life. No, I said, stepping back toward the elevator. You destroyed it the day you erased me from yours. The elevator dinged. I got in. As the doors closed, I could still hear her crying. But only one thought crossed my mind. I am not responsible for saving someone who let me drown. By the end of the week, Richard filed for divorce. His kids completely cut Mom off. She was locked out of the country club membership. Her credit cards, the ones under Richard's name, were cancelled. She had to move into Greg's spare bedroom. She went back to her old job, demoted, because they'd filled her position. And her entire social circle evaporated overnight. When you build your identity around someone else's spotlight, you disappear the moment they turn it off. Mom didn't lose everything because I left. She lost everything because she built her life on a foundation that excluded her own son. And foundations built on neglect? They crack. They crumble. They collapse. If you've ever watched someone realize the entire life they curated, the house, the spouse, the status, the Instagram perfect family, was built out of cardboard, then you know exactly what Mom looked like the next week. Except cardboard doesn't scream, cry, and send 27 emails in a single day. I ignored all of them. But the universe? It was just getting started. Because the next hit didn't come for Mom. It came for Richard. And I wasn't ready for how spectacular it would be. It started with a phone call from Uncle Greg. He never calls twice in a row unless it's big. He called 3 times. When I picked up, he didn't even say hello. "You sitting down?" he asked. "Should I be?" "Oh yeah," he said. "Because karma just hit Richard with a goddamn sledgehammer." Let me paint the scene the way Greg described it. Richard had always played big man entrepreneur, fancy car, country club membership, a company he bragged about constantly, a lifestyle built for admiration, not sustainability. But behind the curtain, it was all duct tape. Greg continued, "Turns out the company has been hemorrhaging money for years. Investors started pulling out. There's a lawsuit. Something about mismanaging funds." "What kind of mismanaging?" "The illegal kind," Greg said. I blinked. "What?" "He's being investigated. There's talk of federal charges." My jaw actually dropped. Richard, Mr. Perfect businessman, was under investigation. Greg kept going. He fired his accountant. Then his accountant went straight to the board. Now it's a full-on meltdown. Oh, this was delicious. Not because I cared about Richard going down, but because of the ripple effect. "What's Mom saying?" I asked. "She's spiraling. She's convinced this is somehow your fault." That tracks. She's also convinced Richard will come back to her. That doesn't. "Oh, it gets worse," Greg said. "She told me yesterday she wants to support him through this difficult time." I snorted. "After he threw her out?" She said, and I quote, "I need to be there for my husband. He's lost without me." I put my face in my hands. Mom wasn't just delusional. She was pathologically loyal to the wrong person. And she didn't just fall for Richard's image. She fell in love with who she believed she could be in his world. Without him? She was back to being Patricia, the woman who worked at a medical office and ate pasta out of a $4 Target bowl. With him? She got to be Patricia Bennett, country club wife in tennis skirts with expensive skincare routines and brunch photos. Losing him shattered her reality. And losing her reality broke her brain. But the real earthquake came 2 days later. Mom showed up at my university. Not announced. Not invited. She just walked onto campus and started asking people where she could find my son. She approached students. Random ones. "Hi, do you know a Jake Morgan? I'm his mother. I need to speak to him urgently." Thankfully, most of my peers at that point had seen enough helicopter moms to recognize danger on sight. Campus security escorted her to the office. From there, she called me. I didn't answer. She left a message. "Jake, please. I need you. Richard is in trouble. We have to help him." We? She kept going. "You're an adult now. You have savings. You can help us get through this." Ah. There it was. Not love. Not reconciliation. Not remorse. Money. She kept talking. "You owe us support. We're family. Richard always provided for us, you should be grateful. Now it's your turn to help." My turn. To help. The man who erased me from every family photo. The man who never once said, "How was your day?" without checking his watch. The man who didn't want me in the house, let alone in their lives. My turn. I didn't respond. But I did forward the voicemail to my lawyer. He replied within 7 minutes. "We're filing a harassment and no contact order. Enough is enough." The next day, Mom escalated again. She showed up at my apartment complex. This time, she made it past the lobby. She started banging on my door. Hard. Frantic. Panicked. "Jake! Jake, open the door! Open it! Open it right now!" I didn't move. I didn't speak. I didn't open. She kept pounding. "You can't abandon me! Not now! Not when everything is falling apart! She was sobbing, wailing, begging. Please, Jake, please! I can't do this alone. I'll be better. I swear. I'll be better. I need you. It would have hurt more if it didn't sound so rehearsed. I stayed silent. After 10 minutes of screaming, the apartment manager arrived. Ma'am, you need to leave. He's my son. He needs me. He asked us to call if you show up. You need to leave immediately. She refused. So they called the police. Mom started crying harder when the officers arrived. Jake, she yelled through the door. Please, don't do this. You're all I have left. I stood there frozen, listening. One officer knocked gently. Jake? You okay? I'm fine, I said through the door. You want her trespassed? Yes. Mom screamed when they escorted her away. Jake, you can't do this. You can't abandon your own mother. You're cruel. You're heartless. You made Richard leave. You ruined everything. Her voice echoed down the hallway until the elevator doors swallowed her. Silence settled. And for the first time, it wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. 2 days later, my lawyer called. Jake, he said, the judge signed the temporary restraining order. She cannot contact you in any form. What about Richard? Oh, he said with a dry chuckle. Richard won't be contacting anyone. He's being subpoenaed. What? His company's under federal investigation. He's been avoiding service, but they found him this morning. Holy crap. What does that mean? It means he's going down hard. And Patricia will soon realize he's not coming back. That evening, I got a text from Uncle Greg. Just 2 words. Brace yourself. I called him immediately. What now? She's coming apart, Greg said. Richard told her he's filing for divorce and reporting the adoption as fraudulent. What? Why fraud? He told investigators something huge. What? Greg took a breath. Richard says she lied to him about financials, and about you. Me? He said she told him your dad left you with nothing. No trust. No inheritance. Nothing. She presented you as a burden she carried alone. My stomach dropped. Because that explained everything. The way she acted like the trust fund was some secret shame. The way she kept deflecting questions about Dad's estate. The way she avoided paperwork like it was radioactive. Jake. Richard feels cheated. He thinks she trapped him. He's using that as leverage. And the investigators are digging into everything. I sat down slowly. Mom hadn't just erased me emotionally. She erased me strategically. Made Richard think I was dead weight, a cost, not a kid. And she expected me to save her now? Not a chance. Greg sighed. She's scared, Jake. She's losing everything. I know. What do you want me to tell her? I said nothing. Then, tell her I hope she finally learns what it feels like to be left behind. Greg was silent for a long moment. Then quietly he said, Kid, she already has. Richard's empire collapsed overnight. Federal agents raided his office, hauling out files and hard drives. His partner was arrested. Richard surrendered and posted bail, already drowning in fraud and tax evasion allegations. As the investigation expanded, Richard did what cornered men always do. He turned on everyone. Investors, employees, even Mom. And she finally realized the truth. The man she chose over her own son was abandoning her, too.